Daydream with me, let your mind explore all the things we were created for. Possibilities, an open door that keeps us reaching out for more. Sure that I'm not sure, I know when I don't know it, so I listen for my inner voice. Carry the winds, drown out the rain, but will it make sense without the pain? Will color me blue, then tickle me pink. Who knew that at the brink of the end, life could begin? Treasure buried deeper with each loss, so filled with grief and catastrophic thoughts, insecurity, distorted flaws. It all gets heavy, sinking under all the cost. Sure that I'm not sure, I know when I don't know it, so I listen for that inner voice.
Listen for that inner voice, y'all.
It carries the wind, drowns out the rain. Will it make sense without the pain? Will color me blue, tickle me pink. Who knew that the brain?
Yo. Peace, love, and light. What's going on? Oh, man, I forgot to do the comics. Pardon me. We'll do it in a minute. Peace, love, and light. It's your boy, Chef. I want to thank you for coming out tonight. First and foremost, what I'd like to do is mention, I want everybody to send a special prayer out for my co-host of the show, Truth and Balance. Her name is the ubiquitous Andrea Lynch. Although she may not be here on the screen, she's recuperating, and you'll see her in the chat. So who better than to sit in the seat of Andrea Lynch but the mercurial, intellectually debaucherous Rob Privilege? What's going on?
Nothing. What's going on? How are you?
I'm good. I had no choice but to involve you in this situation, in this scenario, because you got me riled up yesterday. I really didn't have to say anything. I was thoroughly impressed by your stream yesterday. It was a lot of feeling. I never even saw you go those type of octaves before. So, and for the record, just in case you guys don't know, we're discussing the stream that Robbie did yesterday on her channel related to the incident with Tyre Nichols. Rest in peace.
Well, first of all, thank you for the praise and the accolades for that stream. Thank you for being a good friend and really understanding how affected I am by this national tragedy. And this is exactly what I needed today, to be surrounded by people that understand the importance to the community and just have the important discussions. And just Andrea sending love and healing to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So first on deck, we want to say what's up to my brother, Truth and Purpose Nexus. Tap in. I'm here. Salute. Peace, love, and light to you, Andrea. We see you. Don Frank, A1 Day One. What's going on, sis? Of course, Rob B. Who else do we have on deck that I did not get to? Hey, Miss Ty, Realistic Vibes. What's going on? The tribe has arrived. He said, she said, Mr. He said, Mr. She said, don't burn down their she shed. Y'all remember the commercial with the she shed? Don't mind me.
Yes, really.
What's going on, y'all? Okay. Just Andrea. Erin Laura, what's going on? We got love from Canada, y'all. We international. All right. She sent her love out to you as well. So, on your show yesterday, there was some information that I had kind of exposed. And the thing is, it was some information from, you know, some feet on the ground in Memphis. And I wasn't sure if it was credible or not until at some point it started to leak. And I had mentioned it that there may have been some sort of connection, personal connection, with regards to Tyre Nichols and those police officers.
Yes, you did. Now, when you brought up that information, it was said that it wasn't true. But what happened? What you found out?
So, pretty much, just to take you there, when I watched it, it was hard to watch. But when I watched it, there's the words that come from action. And when I watched it, it seemed personal. It seemed personal. And I just kept reading into it and reading into it until I heard what I heard. And then I was like, wait a minute. And then it started to trickle. And at some point, even on Twitter, there's a hashtag Tyre Nichols, hashtag street justice. And it's starting to trend at this point. So, pretty much, let me pull up, share this article with you. Right. Make sure I increase the screen for you as well. All right. So as it stands, was Tyre Nichols involved with Memphis police officer's wife? Rumor goes rampant after dashcam video sparks protest. There's a rumor that Tyre Nichols might have been involved with the wife of one of the officers who's been arrested for his murder. The five officers are Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Desmond Mills Jr., Emmett Martin III, and Justin Smith. Nichols, a 29-year-old black man, was severely beaten by five Memphis Police Department officers during a traffic stop. All right, now, states, although most people across the nation are protesting against the meaningless death of Nichols, which seems to have racist undertones, some people are beginning to circulate the rumor that Nichols might have been involved with the wife of one of the officers who's been arrested for his murder. Now, I'm going to pull something else up as well. Don't lie. Respect to Audrea Lynch, because we were doing some digging, and even when her ass is in the hospital, or sorry, giving your business, hemmed up, she was still able to send me some info. Where are you? There we go. Building this plane as we fly it, y'all. Please bear with me. Robbie gonna have me in the workshop soon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yes,
gonna
I
be
am.
better. I promise. I promise I'll be better
This struggle streaming. Oh no. Not just playing.
already. So, and this is one of the other articles. It turns out Nichols worked at FedEx, and Demetrius Haley's ex and the mother of his child worked at FedEx too. Demetrius took a
Mm.
picture of Tyre Nichols on the ground and sent it to his ex. All the officers involved were not bad over this man's personal issue. So they said he and his ex had a relationship. Interesting. Now, personally, I'm not going to co sign every news outlet that we see. However, that piece of, you know, that theory or that line of thinking definitely deserves some thought, some frontal lobe action. What do you think?
That's a lot to unpack. In cases like this, there's always a lot of speculation. But if that officer did send that picture to his ex-wife, the digital forensics of it all is going to be quite explosive in the trial, because they're going to subpoena the phone records. They're going to look at every single text message and phone call that went in and out during the committing of this heinous crime. These officers are really set to receive lethal injection. I mean, they may not get it because they've only been charged with murder in the second, but if that piece of information comes out, then that officer might, because his charges might get escalated to first degree murder.
What's funny is in Tennessee, they actually have two. They have a choice of the needle or electrocution. Personally, it's too easy. It's
Right.
too easy. They say self deletion is a coward's way out. What took place was a cowardly act, an extremely dastardly cowardly act, and having them live amongst general population with without the confines of secure housing units and stuff like that, that would be a more viable punishment than just allowing them to go to sleep peacefully. That's just my opinion.
Well, when they administer that penalty, the inmate usually has to still stay in for a good 20 years before the sentence is actually carried out. So they will still have a
Mhm.
significant amount of time in Gen Pop, either way it goes, which I think is going to be very challenging for these officers, because they've put a lot of people into these facilities. They are part of the Scorpion unit, which is like unit meant to incorporate like safety with the police officers to get drugs and crime out of the neighborhoods, which is quite ironic that they're supposed to keep the neighborhood safe, but they brought all this dramatic attention to the neighborhood with their egregious felony crime. But when they go in behind the doors, it's going to be a bad scene, a bad scene.
It's the worst thing about it is this. In terms of the task force, was this a positive thing? No, it's a double negative. Normally, double negatives iron each other out; they negate each other. Where you're at a stasis or point of stasis, but not this one. This was a double negative where someone lost their life, but now that tactical unit was disbanded. What was that tactical unit for? That tactical unit was there to remove the poison from the street, to keep the regular Joe Schmoes, the civilians, you know, the 9 to 5 Johnnies, to keep them safe, to keep the regular people safe from nefarious folks within our culture, neighborhood, whatever. So now this tactical force has been disbanded. I can guarantee you one thing: probably two, three more crack spots popped open after that took place. somebody's moving a little more weight right now in the town. That's a logical assumption, because now the tactical force that was trained to be able to move in a way to handle that, they're no longer there. So it's something to think about, and that's why I say it's a double negative. This whole thing just blows my mind. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, no, I was muted. Not only that, Chef, but all the cases that they have presided over or they have been a part of, those convictions are going to be investigated thoroughly. Any complaints of, violence or undue process is going to be taken as honest truth. And those cases are going to be overturned. So not only are there going to be more criminals in the neighborhood now, criminals that were already taken off the street will probably be put back out into the wild. Now, in case you guys did not know, one of the officers in this case also was charged with beating an inmate unconscious. I'm sharing a screen, Chef. You can share it. Ouch. Okay, let me go ahead and play this. Fair use for the purposes of criticism, news, research, and educational purposes.
We're getting more insight into the history of one of the former Memphis police officers involved in the arrest of Tyre Nichols. Demetrius Haley is one of 5 officers that have been fired from the department following Nichols' arrest and death. This afternoon, another man claims he was beaten by Haley. WRAG Shay Arthur is live with that information. Shay?
Yeah, these allegations come from a lawsuit from several years ago where a man claims that he was beaten by Haley so bad he passed out.
Justice for Tyre! Justice for Tyre!
Before these chants,
Justice for Tyre! Justice for Tyre!
a now former inmate at the Shelby County Corrections Center claims he too was beaten by the same officer, now fired following the death of Tyre Nichols. The case goes back to 2016 when he filed a federal lawsuit against Demetrius Haley, who worked at the corrections center. The handwritten lawsuit claims officers came in for a random search after believing they saw smoke coming from the area. The man alleged he was strip searched in a restroom by Haley and another officer while a sergeant supervised. He claims the officers told him he tried to flush contraband, going on to say Haley and another officer punched him in the face, at one point saying the other officer picked him up and slammed him face first into a sink, then to the floor. After that, he passed out, waking up in a medical unit. In 2018, a judge dismissed the case, citing failures by the plaintiff, not submitting necessary information when requested. According to Memphis police, Haley was hired in August of 2020. For now, it's unclear what his role was in the incident earlier this month that landed Tyre Nichols in the hospital and later dead. MPD announced Haley had been terminated last week. And Alex, April, we have requested Haley's files from when he worked for Shelby County as well as the city of Memphis. Right now, we are waiting to hear back. We're live downtown tonight. Shay Arthur, WREG, Channel 3.
What are your thoughts about that?
Repeat offender. There was some other information I heard about. That one was Haley. The other one, it was Demetrius, and the other one was Thaddeus Tadarius. One of them is a Q dog. All right, he pledged Omega Psi-Phi, and he was part of some sort of hazing incident, as a matter of fact. Let me find that.
What I find very interesting is that one of these officers is named Emmett, and I'm sure his parents named him Emmett after Emmett Till. So to see someone that carries that, weighty historical name participate in activity very similar to what Emmett Till went through is quite disheartening, to say the very least. 4 of them are fraternity boys. Oh, shout out to the Divine Nine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I want to know why the complaints were ignored as well. I want to know why the charges were dismissed. See, this is when I start talking about politics, policies, and the law, and how you really have to know the politics, policy, and the law to work within the system.
Definitely. It was Bean, Tadarius Bean, and he was part of one of the chapters in Mississippi that was involved in scandal. This is crazy. Sometimes things follow you. Sometimes it's your own nature. Sometimes it's your own demons. Sometimes it's that devil you might have made a deal with, wreaking havoc on your life. But
Very, very true. This is a sad situation, but let me ask you a question. Now, in other officer involved shootings, we've not had access to the body cam footage this readily. We've not seen this type of activity in regards to seeking justice or giving justice to these officers. This is definitely, being pushed in the media for police reform. Do you think that the only reason it's being spread to this magnitude and handled this way is because these officers that are involved are African American? Or do you think it's just the timing of it all and they're now just taking this as a serious offense in our community?
great question. Great freaking question. For me, it was a bit of a conundrum because I was trying to figure out, I knew what was going to happen. I knew it was going to be something that was going to be used and polarized by the other side to show, ha ha, right? There
Mm-hmm.
you go. It's yours. You guys gonna burn the city down? What's going on? You do it when we do it. What about when you do it? That was one piece. But now I'm somebody that believes in accountability for our own, and the Jordan Peterson concept of cleaning up your own room, which means dealing with those things that we have within ourselves, within our own ecosystem, prior to being able to fix the outer system. And so I think it being five brothers was actually also necessary for us. I just don't like the fact that they're going like this. Ha ha. But I think it's important that we see it, because now for ourselves, we can't say, yo, bro, we're oppressed, we're oppressed, we're oppressed. We understand that. But we're doing it to ourselves as well. And maybe this is a starting point for us where it allows us within our what's called sandbox to think about what we're doing wrong and how we're harming our own selves. You know, it's just that the other side may also want to use it. But what if your enemy throws your medicine at you and hits you in the head? You need it. It's the medicine you need. It's almost like it's almost like your enemy throwing your medicine at you. You know, I believe that we as a people needed it so that it did not have this commonality, this group that we build whenever someone else does something to us. It's like those sisters and brothers that always fight all the time, wrestling, ready to fight. But then once somebody across the street get into it with one of them, they all get back together. They band together like an army.
Mm-hmm.
But we never fix our own stuff. So I don't like it being delivered to us in terms of spin, but I think that is something that we needed to happen so that we can talk about ourselves where there is no outside force.
I agree, but I mean, I'm going to tell you honestly, I feel like they have been trying to set a race situation since the Trayvon Martin case, really since before it, because every time we've had these officer involved situations, Tawana Brawley, Rodney King, Odawada Abdullah, I believe that's his name. I may have said his name wrong, the guy with the plunger. These things have been escalating and they've been ongoing. I think it's funny that
So Abner Louima.
Yeah,
Abner
Apanolouima. Yes, thank you. I
Lewima.
think it's not, it's ironic that this is the dynamics of the situation that pushes this to the forefront. But I think that this particular crime allows a lot of conversations to be had. And I don't think that this is going to be one of those cases where, people are waking up the next morning and everybody's forgetting about it. This is something that's going to remain on the lips of the people for generations to come. This is a travesty. But let's look at this clip from Greg Gutfeld and see what he's saying about the media pushing police reform.
Hyundai Sonata.
Oh, Lord, always a commercial. Now I'm struggle stream.
Hyundai Sonata wins.
The horrific beating of Tyre Nichols sparking a big debate over police reform. The whole nation shocked by the disturbing body cam footage, showing officers repeatedly pummeling Nichols, who died of those injuries just days later. A sixth Memphis police officer involved in the initial traffic stop has been suspended. That's in addition to the 5 ex-officers who face murder charges. Democrats demanding action, but already dismissing bipartisan efforts at solving the problem.
The police reform package that Senator Booker was working on with Senator Scott, it had many elements in it that are important, banning chokeholds, dealing with no warrant searches, dealing with accreditation of police departments. It's necessary that we do all these things, but not sufficient.
And conservatives say any effort put forward can't rely on defunding the police.
We must stop vilifying the police. We must stop listening to the voices of despair, anger, and division. But none of the leaders who are advocating defund the police live in situations where there is high crime.
But the media egging Democrats on to cut funding to police departments.
This whole reform nonsense from Democrats is so tiring and so dishonest. You can't reform this stuff with body cameras or diversifying the police, as we just saw in Memphis. That doesn't solve the problem either. Now, Democrats, of course, want to run away from talk of abolishing the police or even defunding the police. That's way too radical, way too out there.
You don't think the Democrats are actually going to defund the police?
No, he's entitled to his opinion, but he's dead wrong. Look, I think a couple of things. I think that in fairness to the Senator Durbin, I do think what Senator Scott and Senator Booker were working on is a foundation. I think what we've seen here, and perhaps what some are asking for, is an approach like you have with our military. Some people are qualified and are able to serve in combat or in special forces. And these specialized units, I think, are to the equivalent. Nothing is like special forces in the military, but as you think about our police forces and how we employ and how we hire people and how we determine who should be in different units, we do this as we defend our country, and we should do this for these noble and heroic and courageous servants who are getting a bad rap. Number two, we need some training and protocol standards across the country. I've seen some on our network say that that's akin to federalizing our police forces, but I don't think so. I think there's a way to strike that balance. In this instance here, we'll find more about the Scorpion unit here. I know they have deactivated it in Memphis, but you need these units and police forces all across the country to go after some of the most violent and some of the most awful things that are happening in communities. And oftentimes, there are communities where this young fellow, I don't know the young fellow I think we put up on MSNBC there, but I don't think he lives in those communities. And God bless him, he lives wherever he wants to live. But I think before we go talking about defunding something, you need to understand that police are essential to a functioning society.
Judge, what was your reaction to watching the video?
Speechless, stunned, angry. When I looked at it, I said, these people are evil. They are full of hate and violence. This man did nothing. We still don't know why they stopped him. There is no evidence, the police chief has said, that she's aware of why they stopped him, of this alleged reckless driving. We still don't know why they pulled him out of the car immediately. I mean, normally you stop someone, you ask him for a license and registration. We don't know whether or not they knew each other. Is there some prior relationship there? Why, once he was on the ground, did they need to beat him with a baton and pepper spray him and mace him and tase him? And then, sure, he ran away. I mean, I think he knew ultimately what was going on because he kept saying, I'm doing what you're telling me to do. Yeah. It is disgusting. And Washington can talk all they want about police reform. And look, I work with cops for 32 years. You know it like every day of my professional life. Cops that I know are not like this. These people are evil, and there's evil in every group of bunch of society. But the bill that Booker and Tim Scott were working on, the sticking point was qualified immunity. So should a police officer lose his house because someone sues him? And the issue of whether or not they're going to defund police departments if they don't meet all the standards of reforms. So understand that local police departments, which is the essence of law enforcement in this country, they get grants from Washington, just like I did. And if they're going to say, hey, you didn't meet, Janine, you didn't meet this criteria, therefore we're not giving you money, you're basically defunding me again. The government defunds. So, you know, and by the way, one more thing. More police are going to be charged. 2 more sheriffs, 2 more
Memphis.
firemen in Memphis. 2 more firemen. Why were they standing around for 20 minutes before they did a darn thing? This isn't over yet. This is horrible. This isn't who cops are.
Greg Gutfeld?
Yeah, and I look at this, I think, boy, this seems like it was worse than George Floyd, except the response to it was muted, which is what people think is good now that we don't have arson, we don't have looting, we don't have sustained riots over weeks where dozens die. Yet this was worse. So what does that tell you about all of these things in the past? That the media amplified them based on race, because this is an example where a variable is controlled, and that is race. Both sides are black. So in this incident, if you remove that variable, what does the media do? Well, they realize they can't amplify this as a race thing, so it becomes a training thing, right? Well, what does this say about the past? What if all of those other ones were about training? And the only thing that threw you off that was because there was a white cop or 2 white cops, and the media made it about race, when in fact it could have been about training all along, something that we were saying on this show the entire time. We were talking about training, but it was always about race, systematic racism. Even people today are saying that it's systematic, it's still white people, because it's white people who did the training, as if blacks don't have the agency to do the right thing. You know, my favorite line, and I won't say who said this because it's just so pathetic. You know, could you imagine those guys doing that to a white guy? What does that say? That says that you're saying that those black men would be more likely to kill a black man than a white man. What does that even mean? And I'm sorry, you can find tapes of cops doing this to white people. You just don't see it amplified, right? And you didn't see this one amplified either. Nothing like the other ones. And that was because race was removed. And now it's about training, and we're all for training. We're definitely all for training. Training isn't about defunding the police, though. And we're going to have to start asking ourselves, like, what happens when we decide to do DIE in the police force? Speed that up. What happens then when you start changing requirements, lowering requirements? You might have more of that. Are you willing to accept that, knowing there will be less riots than if it were white cops? That's something you got to think about. Because there will be more actions if the training isn't up to speed, if they're not paid as well, if the qualified people are leaving the police force and replaced with people who are inexperienced. You're going to have that. Yeah. And then you're going to say, well, at least the after effect isn't riots because it's black on black.
But do you think that maybe there wasn't the riots or whatever because the officers were fired and charged? I mean, I think there's some differences here. I'm not. I but there was some. Yeah, there were some things here.
But I would say that, you know, if there was just 2 white guys in there, it would have been a different story. Yeah. And I'm not saying that it would just be portrayed differently in the media.
One of the things that you bring up is the retirement and the retention issue and the recruitment issue.
Yeah.
So there's a big problem on all of that we've been seeing that in major cities and small towns across America over the last several years. So what is the answer to that? The only antidote to that is more money. So it's actually the opposite of defund the police, because if you want more money for different training, or if you want to figure out a way to keep those older officers there so that there might have been, you know, somebody who had several years of experience on the force rather than all the young guys all together at once, maybe this could have been avoided. I do think that we will see some more arrests and perhaps some additional calls for needs in that community, because one of the reasons that the Scorpion Group was created, and Harold could speak to this better than I can, is the level of violence in Memphis got to the point where the community was saying we need more protection. So they tried, and that was the wrong protection. I don't necessarily think that that means you have to have federal legislation. Perhaps a federal legislation could be very good. I don't know if it's a panacea to actually stop this type of thing. Right?
Yeah, no, it's not going to impact this. And you know what? It's the training protocol within the local police department. And by the way, Minneapolis can also charge these guys because these cops have a duty to intervene if deadly force is unjustified is being used against an individual. And by the way, this department is down 500 cops.
Right.
Think about that.
That's why I think
that's why there's
it's
no
going to be a call for
supervisor.
more money.
Yep.
And to fund them, because you're going to have that. And I'd just like to say, you covered the news live on primetime on Friday night, and I thought you did an incredible job, Jesse. Really, really top-notch work.
Thank you so much.
You were like the anti-Eagles.
That night I was.
Yeah.
And then I went back to being hated.
Woo, child, that was a lot to unpack, Chef. You're muted.
I do that at least once a show. That's how you know I'm not a cyborg or an imposter. I'm not a plant. So that's a whole lot of Louis luggage to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
So first and foremost, one of the points that we were making earlier, that I made earlier about not being able to eliminate that group, or not it being a double negative. They're there for a reason. Even in government, there's checks and balances. We have different branches so that, to eliminate the opportunity for tyranny to rear its ugly head. It works like that. We're not a monolithic group of people. So it's important that we have people that can handle the good guys and the bad guys. So it's important.
Can I have some Tingy?
It was just interesting, though, seeing some of the reporters drawing the racial inferences in terms of discussing.
I actually didn't like how they spoke to that, because it was like, look at these people, and these people are violent. So are we saying that in order to police neighborhoods that are heavy in violent crimes, that we need violent criminals in order to police them? I mean, in Training Day, we did hear it takes a wolf to protect the sheep. You know what I'm saying? To project or to catch a wolf. It takes a wolf to catch a wolf. So we need wolves to catch wolves. Is that where our society is coming to? Like, I thought that was a very interesting euphemism.
Well, to be honest with you, yeah, without going too deep into politics, what we've done in terms of some of our military movement internationally over the course of decades, we've taken out people that we considered tyrants, people that we considered evil people. But in doing so, we destabilized whole regions. We destabilized whole regions. Even somebody as simple as Saddam Hussein. Pardon me, but we know there was nothing over there. But people didn't understand that the way Iraq was formed. It was 3 different types of Muslim groups when they formed and drew that line. But Baghdad was, and they drew the big line. They actually, within the confines of it encased 3 different warring Muslim factions. And Saddam was one of them. He was a Sunni. And he was born in a place called Tikrit. All right. As crazy as he was, he had to be crazy in order to be able to maintain and hold that land. That's why ever since we took him out, you understand, Link, that area has always been destabilized. And that's not the only place. That's one of the things that we do to break our quote unquote enemies. You heard of COINTELPRO, counterintelligence program? Destabilization, yeah. Yeah, and counterintelligence program. They, if you have the lighthearted version, if you don't like to read, watch the movie Panther, the one with Melvin Van Peebles. That's the early one.
Yes, that's
And
a
pretty
good
much,
one.
yeah, J. Edgar Hoover, who was the executive director of the FBI, same guy that was spying on Martin and everybody else, he actually came up with a plan called the Counterintelligence Program, COINTELPRO. You could Google it. And what he did was they pretty much funneled free and cheap, high grade heroin onto the streets of some of the major neighborhoods where the Black Panther Party were having their free lunch programs and, uplifting the community. And what it was, they pumped all of that dope into the major cities where the Black Liberation Movement was trying to uplift us in order to sedate us. So I said all of that to say that's the way it works.
Oh,
Destabilization.
I agree wholeheartedly. I talk about, I try to allude to topics without really going too deep on them in these spaces, but that's one of the points, and I'm glad you brought that up. People act like that maybe, I'm not even going to say people act like, people don't fully understand the severity or impact of initiatives like COINTELPRO on our community. And a lot of the things that we're dealing with now in 2023 are the vestiges of psyops and programs of that magnitude. But this, we're gonna keep this focus on Tyre Nichols today, because if we get off into that, that goes down a whole nother
A
rabbit
whole
hole.
nother
But
rabbit
I
hole.
definitely, yeah, I'll definitely come back for that conversation. But now let's talk about how the Scorpion unit was already down 500 cops, and the news reporter on the end, he was very passionate. He had a lot of energy, saying that the media is the one who has been amplifying all of these other officer involved shootings. And shout out to the last gentleman that brought it back into context. No, in this case, justice was swift. We didn't have to wait for 50,000, 1,100 years for officers to be brought to justice for their crimes. We were having the body cam footage. This incident happened on January 7th. The footage was released on like the 27th, so 28 days later, which is the standard protocol to be able to access body camera footage. We've seen charges pressed relatively immediately. The young man died on January 10th. They are being arraigned on February 17th. They've already been dismissed. They do have sheriff's office. They have two people from the sheriff's department. They have two people from the fire department. The other officer, he doesn't have charges, but he also is suspended. There were about a good 20 people on the scene of the crime. So she's right, a lot more people are going to go down for this particular crime. So while we wish that Tyre Nichols rest in peace, his life was not in vain. There's going to be a ton of police reform behind this particular incident. And it's almost as if the American public is desensitized to these initiatives. And that's a dangerous, dangerous thing, which is why I refuse to sit back and be silent on the topic. Do you understand? If you are desensitized to this type of activity, the next step is only to ramp it up if the push is to cause some type of chaos and a situation where other protocols will be employed. Because the next riot, they're going to deploy the whole entire military. It's not going to be with boots on the ground police officers.
So it's hard. It's hard to absorb, but it's one of those things that we need to know, because what do? Do we just close our eyes and walk blindfolded through the woods without ever understanding, our own personal threat assessment? Do we just walk in faith? We at some point, unfortunately, we have to understand the specter or the dark cloud that looms somewhere. We have to understand the biggest trick the devil played was making people think he didn't exist. And unfortunately, these horrors are part of our homeostasis and our natural stimulus. You know, there's some people that say, I can't look at it, I can't deal with it. I understand. But that means to some degree, there's people that haven't seen the video, there's people that don't even want to hear about it. I understand. But then how does that child that's being reared by you, how do they fare? You're allowing the teacher, you're allowing the people on the outside to drive the narrative. So it's important, you know, the numbing, that can happen, but I think that depends on the personality archetypes.
I mean, I think that's very true. I don't really understand how people, like, I'm empathetic to people that this is like hard content for them to ingest, but I don't really understand it. Did you watch all the other situations? Like, you have to stay vigilant. Yes, justice is happening, but what's the after effect? Because, quite frankly, these are African American officers. The white officer involved is not being charged. So it really is business as usual if you're watching closely. It's we're throwing behind bars the violent criminals, and we're giving a pass as a on the job related incident to people that are looked at in a different light. It's stereotyping at its finest. And while I am not pleased with these officers of the law, I think all officers of the law should be held to the same standard. If these 5 officers are being charged, so should that other officer. If you watch the footage, you will see he was involved with the commission of this crime every step of the way. He was the one that tased. He also had a gun-like projectile on the young man's leg. He also had hands on his body, holding him down, preventing him from turning over on his stomach while they were yelling at him for him to turn over on his stomach. He was assisting these officers while they restrained his arm, yelling at him that they needed to put him in handcuffs. If all 6 of you had hands on this young man who weighed less than like what, $120, $150, how were you unable to put the handcuffs on him? I don't know about any of you. I've seen people arrested where there's been one officer and somebody's been really, really plump and they've made sure they were able to put the handcuffs on. So all of a sudden, Tyre Nichols was just that cagey and dodgy that you couldn't get the handcuffs on him. No, every single person on the scene of the crime should be charged. That man laid on the ground for 28 minutes and 34 seconds with no assistance. They were pouring water on each other to flush their eyes of the pepper sprays. They were high-fiving each other. They were smoking cigarettes. They were just chopping it up, complaining about how badly the one dude's foot hurt because he broke his foot kicking that young man that hard. They were out of breath because they're out of shape. Aren't there physical training requirements for these police officers? Why were you not able to run after this young man for more than a block and a half before you needed an inhaler? See, these are the issues that need to be addressed. And if only a handful of us are actually watching and being vigilant for the rest of us, that is a very cumbersome task. What our community needs to understand is you do not have the right to rest. When Dr. King and Malcolm X were running these streets, when the Black Panther Party was putting food in the communities, they did not rest. Everybody was on board and on deck for the most part, except for the people that were fighting with addiction because drugs and substances were being flooded into our communities. You want to know why protests and riots are ineffective nowadays because nobody has the same level of tenacity as they did during the civil rights movement. During the civil rights movement, we took to the streets to make our issues heard and known and get our points respected. They opened up hoses. They deployed dogs on us. They put gas bombs on the crowd and some more stuff. They would burn crosses in front of people's homes. They would throw Molotov cocktails through people's windows, and that was not enough to silence the community. And here we stand today dealing with this situation, and the majority of the community is silent.
Question for you. So do you think that silence, that difference in terms of generational volume, right? We're more silent than the civil rights movement generation was. Do you believe that silence is based on weakness or a lack of a desired lack of sacrifice?
It's based on complacency. It is based on a whole bunch of people thinking that they've made it because they now earn 6 figures, allegedly. It's based on people so comfortable with things and materialism that they forget this land ain't your land. This land ain't my land. This land wasn't made for you and me. And we are reminded daily. This is just another reminder. The reality is, if you want to make this a racial situation, what this case shows you is they have always had the ability to immediately charge these officers for the commissions of crimes. They have always had the availability to disseminate the body cam footage across the media. They have always had the ability to mitigate the amount of harm psychologically that it would cause to the community. And they have chosen in all other instances to have a complete disregard for the community and submerge us in this type of debauchery so that we are emotionally unstable. Yes, it's been amplified and ran nonstop.
Absolutely.
Let me be quiet.
Listen. So I definitely appreciate Robbie coming through and jumping into the hot seat, holding it down for our girl, Andrea Lynn, you know. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you guys a little brief 2-minute interlude. Go pour your drink, run to the bathroom, roll up, do what you got to do. We'll be back in about 2 minutes. And I think we're going to throw that link out there as well. All right. So do you have some more curriculum you want to carry, or you want to wait till we get some folks in here? You're on mute. You're pulling the chef.
I'm pulling the chef. No, we could wait. I could talk about this forever. Like, what I'm doing with my content is I'm getting back to what I originally came here to do. It's easy to get distracted here, and I almost forgot, and I almost lost it. And this situation brought it right on back. Like, our people are asleep, and we're going to perish from lack of knowledge. But let's take our little break, honey. We can do this all night.
All right. And I just threw the link out there. And it's funny. There goes the link. It's funny. Erin Laura said she feels like she's in church. So you know what I'm going to do? Peace, love, and light to our brother. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Tyre Nichols. Here we go.
Tell
Yeah. So we're back. And while we're here, let's send some love. I see we got Mika Marcel in the spot. Peace, love, and light. Oh, let me pin this up in the top for those folks that want to join through, come through, or pull up. You know the deal. Quantum Love, Metaphysician, the other third of the A1 Day Ones. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I actually added that song to the photo montage or the video montage of Tyre Nichols. I don't know if any of y'all watch Power.
That's a great song, though.
Yeah, that was that version was from Power Raising Canaan. You know, Jukebox. That was yeah, that episode was crazy. Like I didn't know she could blow like that. That was wild. But yeah, so what do you guys have to say? What do you guys think about this whole situation? What do you guys want? You know, I know there's a lot of folks that believe in more information. I want to wait. But while we wait, there's, you know, we endure something the same way if we get hurt. While we're waiting for the medicine, we're in pain. So we do feel something. I want to speak to the pain, the open wound that we currently feel before we treat it.
Sorry, I'm walking through my house. My bad.
Oh, you good? You know, it's like an open wound. What do you feel? How do you feel? And if you're truly an empathetic person, truly empathetic, it's gonna hurt you even more. My co-host was my normal co-host was blown away by this. Wanting to know when enough was enough. What are we doing to ourselves? You got a lot of doomsday folks that's talking about end of days and all of these things. Whoa, I said doomsday, and then the amount of people watching dropped to 12. I said that algorithm, boy. Don Cheadle.
Oh my.
Right. But when does it stop? I got no freaking idea. How do we stop it? That's going to be an eternal enigma. You can't unrubik's that cube that easy with the amount of thought processes that everybody has. Different people have different dogs in the fight. Some people say get rid of the guns. Some people say keep the guns. You know? But guess what? When we talk about enigmas, if Enigma was a person, all right, his name would be Victor Freeze Music.
Hi, Victor Freeze. Hi, Victor Freeze.
What up, Vic? Uh-oh, unmute. You chefing right now?
Victor struggle streaming.
Come on, Vic. You could do it, yo.
What's good, bro?
Pray your hands.
Can you hear me all right?
Pray your hands. Pray your hands, y'all. What up, Vic?
Hey, Vic.
What's good? What's good?
Chilling. You drive. I got to shut the patio door. The neighbor's dog's barking. Hold on.
So, I'm just here, you know, to state my piece, and then I'm gonna move on because that's what the world do. You know, the harshest reality that people have to come to is that when your ass die, the world will continue operating, and people will continue drinking and being merry because until the end of time comes, that's what it's gonna be. So my answer to when is enough is when the king returns to set everything in order. But until then, it shall continue and it will become worse before it ever gets better. However, what the light I wanted to shed in this conversation is that the gentleman who was speaking on the newscast, he was kicking game. And just because it come out of white man mouth that was on TV don't mean it has any less validity. And the fact of the game is each of these individual cases, the people are being used as pawns. You swearing the sheep. You can't be a sheep. You have to do your due diligence. You have to know where you are. You have to know your situation. You have to know the laws and the rules around you. And you have to move as if your rights won't be respected. Move like you want to make it to court. So, at the end of the day, I don't blame any of these people for, the outcomes that they have found themselves at the wrong end of. However, this is prevalent. This is not about black and white. This isn't about white cops doing black people a certain way. It's always been about a police state. It's always been about a police state. And had I not witnessed worse than what y'all seen in that video, for the people who have seen it, I've seen worse with my own two eyes. This ain't no hearsay. And these people survived, which is why it didn't make your broadcast, because no one gives a damn unless somebody die and it make the news. You know how many people die every day at the hands of this police state or at the hands of other violent men? I'm not going to say black men. I'm just going to say men. There's an excessive amount of violence in America, and the mercy is drying up. And until someone is plastered across your social media scroll, no one even knows, less more cares. And as quick as they care, they're on to the next thing. So if you want it to stop, I don't got no answers for you, because I don't think it will. And I don't think people have enough diligence or the attention span to stay on any one thing long enough to get the results that they say that they're looking for. I don't think anyone is actually going to take the time to put themselves in a position. Everybody say, oh, you don't want the police to do this, you don't want the police to do this. Are you going to take on those positions? Are you going to go take on some mental health classes? Are you going to start taking on these political positions to move the needle, to change the laws, to change the rules? It's kind of hard to undo something from the inside in that way. It just sounds good on paper, but the actual logistics of making that happen is going to take more than any one person's good nature and heart. That's just not going to be enough. So, all I can say is prepare yourself and move with caution, as if your rights don't matter.
So do we do nothing? Do we do nothing? Or do we try to be that change that we desire? Or I should ask you, do you do nothing, or do you attempt to be that change that you believe is required?
The distance between expectation and reality is called disappointment. So I've never had any real expectations of any government entity providing or protecting anything that I got going on, because I understand the original intent was never for my benefit. It's rich versus poor, has versus have nots. And the law is just the arm that protects the haves. They protect property and not people. So what would make me think that I was going to change that? So my question to you would be, if nothing ain't going to be enough, then what is the something? What is the first move?
To put down complacency.
I mean, in reality, like a action step.
That is an action step.
To breed
People,
proactive movement, instead of
right.
complacency, to actually, to breed proactivity. What you permit is what you promote, right? So at some point, I think it's going to be important for us to be, and that's where we talk about becoming that change that we desire or require. If we understand that there's something that we have, or some skill set or some knowledge base that we have that may help a particular group that's moving in the same direction, politically, emotionally, whatever, strategically is us, then we would find a way to assist. Let me bring another voice into the mix.
There he
Truth.
is.
What's going on, my brother?
What's going on, my brothers? Hey, what's up, Raw? Hey,
Good with it.
A chair and a plate and some utensils. I see the feast up here is hot, looking very delightful. I'm ready to join in, sir.
Hey, you flirting with Robbie? He called
no.
He didn't even call you a snack. He called you a feast.
No.
Nobody playing with Truth today. No. We talking about the content. Ain't nobody playing with Truth.
I'm gonna jump out the window.
Yeah. Man, sis, we might be in divorce proceedings.
Listen, I'm from New York, honey. We don't chase them, we replace them.
But yeah,
all your shit in the box to the left. Okay.
It's there, y'all. Oh my.
You know it's so when Vic quoting Beyonce. Go ahead.
Okay.
That's saying something right there. But yeah, first and foremost, prayers go out to that brother and his family, especially the child that lost their father. Man. That's for us being fathers. That's the big part for me, because now the important I would say the guidance that we provide for our seed, this one is going to be lacking unless another man takes the step towards to say, hey, this person needs that and is deserving of that, and take that mantle. But as of right now, that child is hurting, and that void will never be replaced. So that's prayers to family for comfort and understanding. But again,
Let me just drop this real quick. I just want to interrupt you for one second.
Yes.
Currently, the actual sponsor of tonight's episode is my brother Curtis, all right, aka Malevolent Elephant. He is the Attenborough, the Black Attenborough. He is the if you like animal videos and all of that, his page is bananas. Check him out. I salute you. And this is not just some YouTube. Me and this brother broke bread more than once. All right. And he's good people. Good people. I sincerely appreciate you. And thank you, my brother. Well, go ahead, Truth. I'm sorry. We have to definitely.
Oh no, you good. Yeah. Well, first and foremost, the Elephant Man. That's what we call him. But everybody has constantly harped praise on that gentleman. So what you just said, I'm sure is definitely valid, and he's graciously sharing everywhere. So salute to that, bro. But As far as the solution. So, what is going to bring? What's going to solve the problem? Not allow it to persist. That means it stops. I have not heard one person that's doing something that's going to make it stop. Like that means cease, desist, end. This is just a problem that's going to go and continue because it's a problem not because of race, not because of it's just what they used to call black and blue. It's really blue versus civilian, and then it leads into a system. But not only that, which Vic spoke about, and I said this earlier. I said people need to pay attention to what is actually happening instead of the emotional side of it, because it is. It's a pawn being taken off the board, and something big is coming. The last time something like this happened, we fell into what? A pandemic. Which, if y'all remember when the White House came on, what did they say? Prepare yourselves. We are in a live exercise. Do anybody understand what that
Oh,
actually means?
he said the magic word right there.
Yeah, do y'all understand what that actually means? People that are from
Yeah, that is a psyop.
yeah, people from militia background, they understand exactly what that means. So that's why when I came from, which people look at me kind of callous and hard and everything like that, and oh, this is supposed to be emotional. No, I know it's something greater coming much more than this. It's something big coming, and that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Then later on, I find out that this wasn't even just like police brutality and everything, because I said it yesterday and I said it earlier today. Something seems very personal about like the way they're binding that man and beating him. What's going on? That don't even seem regular. I later on find out it is personal. So my compass is not off. I find out that this is involving a female. How about that? So what's going to actually solve these type of problems? Chef spoke about it. People becoming the change. But the problem is we need to become change as individuals instead of thinking about the environment. We can't even fix ourselves on simple. We can't even come together and agree on something simple as, like Robbie said, when we come into person-to-person interaction. Hey, how about everybody just stop having sex? I'm in total agreement with that. But not everybody is in agreement with that. How about that we separate ourselves from people that are immoral? But no, because people usually cling to people they like, not because of their character. So it's hypocrisy, and you can't bind together through hypocrisy. No one wants to stand alone and be uncomfortable at any time. They want people to like them. You can't unify off of lack of leadership, and you can't have leadership if no one's willing to do the things that are uncomfortable. People are going to be looking at you like they hate you and disagree with you. Nobody's willing to do that.
So, do you believe that type of change is possible?
Can it? Yes, it can. Like Vic say, do I think it's going to happen? No.
So you think it's possible, you just don't think it's probable.
Yes. Anything's possible here, bro. We done seen some. You know this because you've been here, blessed to live longer than me. So I know you've seen more things that seem impossible than I have. For the 38 years, I've seen some crazy things happen. But for the type of thing that you're trying to speak about us coming together and accomplishing, for the type of damage we have done to our community, to our representation and our image, it would take a massive shift, like a real something that's equivalent to what's the thing called what is the scientific term for the universe coming into existence? What do they call it?
Big
The Big
Bang.
Bang. Big Bang. We would need something like that. And what is that? We're talking about a divine experience. And what Vic said, when the next time that's going to happen? When Christ come back. That's it.
Let me just add one more thing because I gotta make a move. I can't stay for a long time this evening, but you know, I hate to leave a conversation with no positivity, nothing to look forward to. So what I will say is this: the same way Truth said, it's improbable, but it's possible. Now, you know, there's been a lot of talk about, because this isn't a race conversation per se, but I think in this instance, if change is what you're looking for, and particularly in the black community, I think the police state has a lot to do with what happened. Because no matter how personal that event was, those officers felt comfortable doing that. If that was a white man, those black police officers, not to say that that white man wouldn't have got his ass whooped by white officers, but there is a understand value on white life and who can interfere with it. And I think, you know, the embarrassing part or the saddening and sickening part was that I didn't want to see white officers up there, but it was just the fact that it was all black. Like none of y'all even gave a shit. Not one of you tried to talk any of one of the other ones down. And like, all right, that's enough. You don't value your own. So when you driving in your car, right, and you pick your homeboy up and you got old Coke cans and Snickers wrappers already on the floor, he don't think nothing about dropping his cigarette butt right there next to him. But when he get in your car and it's vacuum and it's smelling good and yada yada and there ain't a piece of trash nowhere in here, I mean, he drop his gum wrapper, he gonna be the one to pick it up without you saying anything because he don't want to be the one to stand out in a negative way, to interrupt your flow. But if your flow is already going in a negative direction, people don't care about piling on. I don't think black people value black life. Don't tell me black life matter because it don't matter. To nobody it's even supposed to matter to. If my quote unquote enemy hates me, I expect that. I don't expect anything different from him. I don't take offense. But when the people who's supposed to be wearing the jersey that I'm wearing don't give a damn about me either, don't care about our unified success, that's why we looking at each other talking about what the fuck we gonna do. We should already have something in motion. We still talking. We so busy talking, we ain't getting shit done. And that's the part that irritates me because it's like a never ending conversation seeking answers with no action. You got to set a standard. And when black people value black life, when black people stop killing black people, when black women stop killing black babies, running around, stop
So Vic,
playing the knockout game with each other. You know what I'm saying? When all of the nonsense draws to at least something that would be less than a halt. It don't gotta stop, but it gotta slow down to what they would call measurable progress. Something that can be noticed without someone having to make a spectacle of it. If
I'm glad you
violence
said.
in Chicago just reached record lows, you know what I mean? If you could walk inside of
what would be considered a dangerous area the same way your white counterparts can. The shit don't make no sense. A white girl can go jogging through the same projects that you scared to walk through at awkward times because they understand that her value ain't worth the trouble. Not that she could be any less of a victim.
So
But they
Vic,
understand who's not coming, who's not going to be pursued. An Indian man took me to the side one time. He said, "Hey, listen, I don't want you to be offended by what I'm about to say, but I'm like, speak freely, man." He said, why don't y'all get life insurance?" He said, "Me, I have life insurance on me, my children, and their children's children. My children, they still live with me. My son, him and his wife, they still live with me. He's 30 years old." He said they're almost in however many months they're gonna pay off their house, and then they'll move into it. Then they'll move out my house. He hold what's dear to him close. He could care less about what society say about 18. We have to set our own standard on what we value, how we protect it, and how we hold it true. We have to hold ourselves accountable. We shouldn't need no swift justice to come handle. Nah, the black community should have more than a conversation to be said about what these officers did to that young. And that goes way further than just police. Inside of these walls that they hide us behind. If somebody don't come knocking for you, if people don't protest, or your mom don't put up a written this or that saying that she need to see you in person with her own two eyes, because you don't go for in-person visitation no more. And if you are supposedly, done something wrong, a behavior issue, then you lose your visitation. And that's how they inside of our jails and our prison systems do this same shit. And instead of it being a news spectacle, they just go put you in solitary confinement until you heal up, and there ain't no proof. It goes on a regular basis to that extent. I'm talking broken bones, no disfigurement, stuff that you couldn't bear to see. But this is just what we exposed to. But if the value on black life meant something to us, I don't think that it could happen as fast. It wouldn't happen as often. And that's the only silver lining that I see, is this is an opportunity for us to do better amongst ourselves. But with that said, man, I appreciate y'all time, man. I got to get out of here, man. Much love, Chef, Truth, Raw, Chat. Love all y'all. Love yourself, though.
Much
Holla.
love, Victor. Bye. I agree with a lot of what Victor said, but I think we also need to add on to it. Fathers need to stay present in their children's lives. Fathers need to start marrying the women they impregnate. There's a lot of stuff that we need to change within the community. And yeah, everything starts with the conversation, but we definitely have to focus the energy. Like, maybe we should stop focusing so much on relationships, stop focusing so much on sporting events, stop focusing so much on gaming systems and playing what, Call of Duty. Start focusing on the politics of our communities. Start participating in the education of our children. Start going to the town hall meetings. Start being a part of committees. Start actually doing stuff in our community. Like, you can't expect society at large to take your interests seriously if you're not involved in the politics of your communities. You think they don't notice? Because I do. When I go to a council meeting and everybody there doesn't look like me. When I go to vote and I don't see people that look like me because voting doesn't matter. Like, these things matter. They're important. When I don't see people that look like me talking about this issue at all, except for to say that this is the fault of single mothers, yeah, that matters. Be mindful, especially people that are content creators, of what you're putting out into social media. How is the world at large looking at the community just by looking at you? You may be the only glimpse that they see, the only bit of insight that they see into a group of people they will never interact with. What do you want to show them? Speak life. Let me stop. Go ahead, Chef.
You were cooking. You were definitely cooking. Speaking life. Speaking life is probably the most important thing. Not just speaking life, but speaking to the life is indispensable. You know, life, the cost is infinite. What you mean to someone else, that cost is infinite. And unfortunately, we live within a dynamic where we devalue it, or we overvalue something else. And maybe it may have, especially with our brothers that get so emotional at the loss or potential loss of a woman, for instance. Now, of course, the information we provided tonight in relation to the rumor of Tyre Nichols potentially messing with one of the cops' girlfriends, it's all alleged, of course. All right, you ain't gonna Tasha K me. It's all alleged. All right. But let's discuss hypothetically if it was true. Did they devalue their life? Did they devalue his life, or did that cop hold too much value on the life of that woman?
Mm.
That's a question. That's a
Is
question.
is it so first and foremost was because I heard a couple different stories. Was the woman involved someone's wife or was it a GF?
So it
An
was
ex-girlfriend, an
ex-girlfriend.
ex-baby mama. You know,
Yes. And
another single
supposedly
mama home.
and allegedly she worked at the same FedEx with Tyre Nichols, and allegedly he took a photo of Tyre Nichols beat up and sent it to her.
Yeah, yeah, I heard that part. So
It's all alleged.
so
You let
this
me know.
was
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, so this is so in this case, this was a jump off juggling two men at the same time, a cop and then a FedEx worker. Okay,
No,
so
she wasn't
Maybe she
juggling
moved on.
anyone.
Maybe
yeah,
she moved on. That was his ex.
yeah, maybe. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate in this part. So
Just Jay, welcome.
I love being the like I said, I love being the odd man out. I don't want people like me. So I'm going to talk to reality of the situation about what usually happens. So let's say this was somebody X, and majority of the time X's do not move on. They like to travel back and forth between two parties till they want one party to make sure that it's what we call culpable. Oh yes, he's down for the ride. He's down for the count. Then people make it comfortable to transition to that said party. Okay, so what I spoke earlier about, because we already addressed the situation of who was wrong. The men that did this to that guy, they need to be held accountable, regardless of the situation. So that don't need to be talked about. Everybody agrees that those five cops was involved. That's wrong. What also we need to talk about now, if she was involved in some type of way, complicit with basically how you say what's the right word? What's the right word? What's the right word?
If she had broke off with him and moved on with her
Aggravate.
life.
Yeah,
Oh.
aggravating the situation. So let's say it was a situation where he knew about the relationship or something like that. So somehow, some way, unless he was doing like the cop was doing some stalker type stuff or whatever, if she was complicit in promoting the situation that she was involved with this gentleman, then for me, she's just need to be helped just liable. That's for me. And I don't care who don't like it.
So we're gonna act like cops don't stalk their exes.
Didn't say that.
We're gonna act like that's not a thing.
Didn't say that.
So, but what it seems like is you're trying to say that she shouldn't have moved on with her life. And if even if she, let's just say for the sake of argument, that she did say, "Hey, I'm seeing somebody else," that justifies this man having a complete lack of control of self and pulling into the fray a whole ton of other men in the commission of a crime.
If that's what
Is
you
that what
heard,
you're saying?
if that's what you heard, because I already classified that earlier before I went into my statement.
No, but I'm saying like why should anybody prosecute anybody for just saying, hey, maybe she had to tell him because he was crossing a boundary. Because one thing that we do also know is that a lot of men have an issue letting go. They have a issue moving on
Mm-hmm.
from what they feel is their property. So, he could have been calling her, harassing her, stalking her, trying
Mm-hmm.
to grape her, being in her space, pulling up at her house whenever he wanted to, especially if they have children together. And she may have just simply had to tell him, like, oh, hey, you know what? I'm seeing somebody, so you're being inappropriate right now. And he had an inability to control his ego and his anger, which
Mm-hmm.
clearly that's likely it's subject evidenced by the way him and his gang of friends beat the hell out of that young man. The way they said, I'm going to baton the F out of you. The way they kicked that boy so hard that they broke a foot. The way that they punched that boy so hard in his face that a hand was swollen. The way they could not get him in somebody's handcuffs. What we're not ever going to do is move the goalposts to anybody else except for the people that were at the actual scene of the crime. Just saying. For
Yeah.
me. For me
Yeah,
anyway.
for
For me.
you, for you. So,
For me. For me.
Steph asked the question: does
Oh
the
no, I know. And you
information?
gave an
Yeah,
answer for
yeah,
yourself, and I gave an answer for me. I don't need a recap, but I
yeah,
appreciate you.
yeah. I appreciate you as well. So, I'm gonna continue what I was saying. Thank you for that part. If she said, if it finds out that through more investigation that she was involved and complicit in some type of way with promoting said individual or the individuals involved, she need to be held accountable just like they should be.
Because she was there. Because she was
Okay?
there.
Huh?
Because she was there, right?
No, because
Because
she's
if it is
involved.
true, because she was, how was she involved if she wasn't there? Oh, you mean because he sent her a picture? Allegedly, he sent
Yeah.
her a picture like, "Oh yeah, this your dude. Look what I just did to him." So she's involved.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, Jeff,
Mm-hmm.
you're muted.
There we go. That was number two. Yeah, I honestly, I can't put that. I can't put that on our truth because at this
Amen.
point, people have exes. People people have exes that don't know how. People have exes that don't know how to let go. And if this is an ex, because remember, Tyre Nichols, he just got in there. He moved in to Memphis within a year. He was there less than a year. He actually came from around Andrea's way in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
His kid is back there in California, where he came out for that job, not too far from his mama's house in Memphis, working at the FedEx factory, making boxes. And you get bread for making boxes. Don't sleep. You don't have to drive a truck at UPS, I mean at FedEx to make money. And
Facts.
that's what he
Oh,
was doing.
I don't knock people's jobs.
Right. And, you know, the thing is, he went back there to work, and let's say he met her. Sometimes when a girl breaks up with a man or a man breaks up with a girl, whether it's mutual or not, at some point there's a vesting period. I always say it's going to be the first 90 days, the first 30 days is going to be crazy without them. And every 30-day cycle that you can go without that person is going to be closer to the point of you being over them.
Correct.
But the longer you've been in a relationship with somebody and and you have a child with them, that vesting point of emotional freedom,
Mhm.
it may take longer, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes you fall back because if she's a good woman and she gets that special itch,
Mhm.
she doesn't want to throw her holiest of holies onto the street for the Pookie and Ray Ray.
Mhm.
So psychologically, she may allow herself to sleep with this man because that's the father of her child and she doesn't want to give it to anybody else. There's women that have been in that situation.
Mhm.
So we don't know what it is. And I'm not trying to make excuses for her, but I don't think there's sufficient evidence to support that she was playing two guys against each other. So
No,
much
Chef.
that we would put a charge on it.
Right.
No, Chef. Don't you
So again,
understand? All women are
if
for the streets. That's what they all do.
yeah, so if it comes out, see, I'm not going. The one thing I don't do is I didn't say definitive, but I'm not going to say that that can't. What I stated is not an actual reality of things that happen, or more probable of things that actually happen. Like you said, for instance, if I break up with somebody, and what most of the time, because we're talking about the reality of the situation of what females usually do. Let's say the last thing, and most of the times in relationships that end is sex. That's the last thing to go out the door. Most people don't even like each other, but they will continue to have sex. So let's say the woman is transitioned to another relationship, and she likes a guy, but she's been used to sleeping with this her ex. She will continue to sleep with her ex until this situation actually improves, or she probably basically feeling the guy enough to the point where now she wants to transition and sleep with this man. And even if it's not her ex, most women have what's called their regular go-to guy to give them that pleasure. It's very seldom is a woman transition out of a relationship and they have not been touched all the way until another relationship. I'm just telling you the reality of the situation from dealing with so many women and knowing women. So we could play
That's
these games like women out here being these angelic doves and and rationalize unemotional, having EQ, that the highest level of EQ, and they're not causing none of these problems between men and men situations. I spoke on another show earlier today where I'm gonna actually find this video. I gotta find it where a woman actually came out. A woman came out and she said, "You want to know what 75% of the black on black or men on men crimes that have been committed? What's the number one reason why they're?" She said 75% of. She said somewhere along the lines, if you trace it, you will find a woman. And this was a woman that said this, not a nigga. Woman said this. So of course, there's no evidence. And I didn't say what I said was correct. I said, hey, I'm going to play the devil's advocate of bringing something else into play, which is a reality, which does happen. I don't care who don't like it.
Well, I'm of the mindset. Hi, Simon. Hold on one second. I'm of the mindset that people could disrespect Tyre Nichols' memory by trying to turn this into a gender war discussion, and that speaks to the mindset of the community. Or people could focus on the people that actually committed the crime, because the last time that I checked, anybody that does a crime, they go to jail for the crimes that they individually commit. unless there is actual forensic evidence that link other people to the crime as an accomplice. At the end of the day, we watch the videotape, right? And what we saw on the videotape was a young man that was driving his vehicle, pulled out of his car. Nobody asked him for his ID. Nobody asked him for his insurance. Nobody asked him for his registration. What we saw watching that video was 5 police officers flanking him on all sides. What we saw in that video was police officers holding guns to his body, restraining his arms, kicking him, punching him, beating him. See, if this was a one-off, if this was a one police officer got a little crazy, discharged a firearm, sure, truth theory of the crime would be plausible. But when you have a whole gang unit, a Scorpion unit, who is a specialized tactical unit, deploying all of that energy on one man, well, damn, that would mean that one man would have to have that much power and leadership and influence over all the other men in the location in order to make them also complicit in the commission of a crime, since all 5 of them were charged with second-degree murder. Also, that would then mean that people are just rabid followers and they have no discernment and no ability to lead their fellow officer away from the commission of said crime. See, what we have to do in this community is start holding individuals accountable for their actions and their behaviors, not just the women of the community, but the men as well. I'll go on mute.
Yeah, I think I definitely believe
What's up, Chef?
accountability.
Salute.
Salute.
Why you let this
Accountability
goofy up
has
there,
to go
man?
all the way around. But we do have our brother from the other side of the pond, Simon. Are you familiar with the topic tonight?
I am, and
Say it again.
Truth don't start. Yeah, I am.
Talk to me. What do you have on this? Because there's been some speculation that there may be some sort of intimate link between Tyre Nichols and one of the officers charged in his deletion. So
Yeah,
if
I
that's
mean,
the case, talk to us.
yeah. So I mean, I think what Raw B was talking about sort of brought it home, like in terms of this is not. I don't know, from a global perspective, and this is where I'm coming from. It's not a unique case, and the point of the matter is we're gonna. I don't know how long are we gonna be discussing this stuff for? You know, how long are we gonna have these cases brought up where we're seeing this sort of stuff, and we're not countering it in some sort of, you know, I don't know. It's like it shouldn't be the news that we are the news. Like we're the news. Like we're the black brothers that are being killed out here or just doing something. And we have to we have to have these relationships where it's always problematic based on the fact of what's actually happening. No, so like I would urge everybody to go back and rewind the tape and listen to what the lady just spoke on, because she put in a nugget. And most women can't do that. And that's what it is. Moving forward, are we
Thank
gonna
you,
able
Simon.
to able to change this? Maybe. Maybe not. But it's not really about, like we can't just continue to have this dilly dally between ourselves, because it's kind of serious. Like when I don't even want to go to sort of personal circumstances, but I've had like I was talking to my sister earlier about someone that got done just like across the road from me. So this is not a US situation. This is going on all over the world. And I mean, done like flowers are there, and the
Thank
family
you,
is sort of
Robbie.
like going in. Do you get what I'm saying?
You're
Like
welcome.
it's crazy. So no. But the point of the matter is, it makes total sense in terms of we need to start having real conversations about what's going on. And I mean real conversations. I don't mean this dilly-dally stuff where we're just putting up sort of lies and talking nonsense just based on the fact that we're trying to get likes and all the rest of it. But that's just my perspective. Chef?
Oh, I'm right here. I'm right here. So, man, that's, I never seen you drop the mic that early, Simon. Yeah, man, you landed the plane. That was a short flight. So, there's one thing I will say. I agree with what's being said, and I agree with the motivation. It's funny. Aaron Laura said we went from church to CSI. She doesn't know. She doesn't know Robbie gets thorough. That's like Columbo's black daughter. Y'all don't know
Yes.
Columbo. That's old school, right? And
Yes,
thank you for that super chat supporting the channel. Robbie Privilege said the violence against our people has to end. The spreading of ridiculous narratives instead of focusing on the heinous nature of the crime is what is most important. And I agree. I agree. Peace, defamation, Javon. Peace, love, and light. But I agree because I want us to understand bringing up the potential for some sort of relationship between Tyre Nichols and the young lady and the police officer was not to create some sort of soap operatic, crazy, dramatic thing, a salacious affair. That's not what it was. It was only to speak of it in terms of it being a potential motive for what occurred. Because of the personal nature, that beating looked like it was something personal. It did not look like something random. It looked like something personal. It still feels personal. So, in terms of uncovering some of this information, which is still being investigated, I was just bringing it to the extent of it being a potential motive for what occurred, which could give us some kind of understanding. Because having a motive and some sort of understanding, even though that motive may seem crazy, it will make more sense to your essence. Because if it's just simply random, it's scary as hell.
Yeah,
It's even scarier. Having a motive will make everything, and they say make it make sense. A motive makes things make sense. But if it's random,
here's the thing. There is a motive that makes sense even in the randomness of it all. While, of course, everybody would love for it to be that a Black woman caused it or whatever, the reality is we know that this particular unit has been operating with immunity. They have been doing the most to Black men in that neighborhood for a very long time. We have seen unmitigated proof that officers involved in this deletion have beat inmates unconscious. We've seen the inmate that they beat unconscious speaking to the attorney general and IAB and requesting a deeper investigation be done, that people be removed from seats of power. So of course it's the easy man's way out. It's the layman that doesn't want to do any work, that just wants to sit on social media and get a click and a view off of a talking point to blame it on a woman. It's the easy way out for people like Jason Whitlock to say, well, this is the cause of single Black mothers, instead of simply saying that this is a system that failed to check and balance itself. See, when you have the attorney general, internal affairs, the chief of the police department, who is a married Black woman, by the way, failing to do their jobs at removing a dangerous threat to the community from a group of people that have tactical experience so much so it's on a military level. What the question that nobody's really asking, the real elephant in the room, if this is a tactical unit to focus on drug activity, what exactly were they doing performing a routine traffic stop in the first place? See, those are the questions that matter. I've seen beat cops. Matter of fact, last night after I ended my stream, I went out to the store and I got pulled over. Believe it or not, I was driving along, the lights in blue went off, honey. I was like, oh shit, they about to
I like that. I like that. You see what you just said there? We're not just on YouTube. We're out here.
Right.
Now, when you're feeding it, yeah, the lights. When you're feeding it, you're out here. Like, we're dealing with real people. This is not just like us on a stream talking nonsense, okay? Like, people will be chiming in and going, okay, they're talking. Okay, we're talking. Now, this is real. This is real stuff. Do you understand? So
Absolutely.
this affects us. It affects us, and it will affect not only you as a person, it will affect our children, and it will affect our grandchildren. And it's really important, you know.
Exactly.
And we don't want to go through that whole phase that we went through in the last year, because we saw so many losses. Like, just people that just would like dropping down.
Senator Simon.
Meant so much to us.
Senator Simon. Senator Roby would like to reclaim her time.
No, I'm saying
right, reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time.
Yo, you
gotta wrestle the mic.
I'll pull back.
Thank you, Simon. I mean, I'm loving what you say, babe. Just hold on 1 minute. Let me just give you the whole story, baby. Then cook, okay? Then go in and lay here, okay?
She's floating over the runway right now.
All right, sure.
I'm trying to land it, babe. I'm trying to land it.
Hey.
So now I'm there and I'm in the car. You know, I have my kids in the car, and it was relatively late. Like, it was 12:30 in the nighttime. The lights flashed. I was in a damn panic because, first of all, I was riding dirty. Shh, don't tell nobody. I had to make it to DMV. That's a whole nother story. But I already knew my place wasn't how they were supposed to be. I already knew it was a problem. And I'm going to tell you how you're able to see me today and how I didn't get Tyre Nichols. The officer pulled me over. Before the officer even came, I had my license. Not my registration, but I had my license. I was like, hey, listen, I know it's an issue. I was running to the store real quick, just get some juice, go to DMV tomorrow. Promise you. All right, let me check your license. Let me run it. Make sure you're good. Ran the license. My license is good, of course. You know what I'm saying? I don't be riding that dirty, for real. And then I was able to bring my Black behind home. But the reality is many people are not able to come home. But what didn't happen on that routine stop was anybody just pulling me out of my car. What didn't happen on that routine stop was me getting thrown to the ground and having tasers and guns placed on my body. What didn't happen was me getting beat to death. So maybe I'm just lucky. Or maybe I just came across a police officer that was doing their job correctly. Stop looking for excuses for these police officers that are simply not doing their damn jobs. Retraining is absolutely necessary. Police reform is absolutely necessary. When there are complaints against these officers, they need to be investigated thoroughly by IAB, and the Attorney General and the Chief of Police needs to remove them from their positions if they're found guilty, not make excuses for their malfeasant behavior. Let's start actually holding accountability for bad behavior. Go ahead, Simon.
Yo, you're large, man. I mean, that was cute. And I think, like, the last point, especially, you remind me of my sister, man. Shit. God damn. Listen, this has been going on for a while, and the fact of the matter is we're just getting, like, you know, the top end
of the scrape of it. Like if you have a coffee, or it's like we're trying to scrape off like the top end. You might not understand to an extent, but I'm just saying. I'm trying to be I'm trying to be nice to the channel because I got my mouth and all the rest of it. But what you're saying overall means that we're in a space really that makes us unaccountable for our actions because people couldn't do this sort of stuff, right? And how long are we going to tolerate it for? I don't know. I don't know. I can't do anything about it. I literally have whole human beings snatching doormats from my house last week. So I don't know. Maybe truth can offer me some blessings in terms of like some answers. I don't know.
Answers to what?
How do we deal with this?
The police situation, or
well, everything and anything. I mean, like, so you got the police
oh,
situation.
well, I guess
and then we got
how we
our relationship situation.
I guess how we been dealing with it. You feel what I'm saying? Not doing a whole bunch of talking, not doing nothing. Acting like we're doing something. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is it's kind of interesting because I looked at like brothers like you because you got the offering, right? Because you're the truth. So it's like, how do you deal with stuff?
Well, sad part is it's going to be certain other people that fall into situations like Tyre because they actually deserve it. You feel what I'm saying? His situation, he probably didn't deserve it. You feel what I'm saying? It's sad that that type of situation happened. But as far as the situation about the cops and everything like that, it's not going to change, bro. It's not going to change.
Why do you think it's not going to change? Because I mean, you're
been
just
here for 38 years.
Yeah, of course. Okay, right. So for your children, you don't think it's going to change?
Mm-hmm.
They deserve it, though. They deserve it.
Who?
They deserve it. You said in these situations, they deserve it. What do they deserve?
No, I said people that are in situations that cause these type of things. Some people, sad to say, some people that fall victim, to violence and certain things, they act, I know on both sides, they actually deserve it. In this case, more than likely, this gentleman didn't. Dealing with police officers, they have to be held accountable because they have to serve and protect. So, of course, when it falls to them, they're the ones that need to be held accountable. They're the ones that need to be
hypocritical. That's kind of hypocritical. You can't say, right? So the police officers, they're their own people, in the same sense that the people that you're talking about. So are you saying like police officers? I remember like when we were children, right? And we all got indoctrinated.
Hold on for a minute. Osama. All right, so I'm gonna tell you what I was saying. I'm talking about your little bitch ass. Your little dumbass is gonna fall victim.
Lord.
Are you talking about me specifically?
Keep fucking talking.
You talking about
the little bitch? Know what I'm talking about.
Are you talking about me specifically?
No. I'm not talking about you, Simon.
All right.
For peace in the valley, while we are discussing the tragic passing of Tyre Nichols. I pray that people
bitch ass nigga, you're dumbass. No, I'm talking to you. I'm not threatening Simon. I'm talking to you, nigga. Yeah, you.
Who's
on the
you?
topic at hand, Lord.
Who's you
Father
then?
God, in the
Yeah,
name of
bitch
Jesus,
ass
I'm
nigga.
going to request that you
Go
put
ahead, talk.
discernment on the people in the world, that they
You running
understand
your
that at
daggone mouth.
times
You're
like
gonna be a
these,
fucking victim.
this is not the time
Truth, who
to
the hell are
be
you talking to?
perpetuating violence,
Stop
Lord.
playing ass
Father
nigga.
God, in the name of Jesus, we ask that you be a peace, a spirit of peace and tranquility over the land. These
I
things we
know.
pray in Jesus' name.
Make yourself
Amen.
available.
Truth.
Make yourself available.
Can you just make yourself clear in terms of saying who are you talking about? Because I don't know. I
Simon,
don't think
the little bitch ass Daryl in the daggone what's his name? That's what I'm talking. I'm not talking to you, bro.
you talking about Daryl.
Yeah, I'm talking about his bitch ass.
Why? Why are you talking about the world like that?
Simon, I already answered your question. Don't worry about what I'm doing. I'm doing me.
Jesus,
Yo, we don't need to be beef with nobody. I'm just saying, like, thank you. Let's
No,
have a
because you running your fucking
sister.
mouth.
all that's good and perfect
That's why.
Yeah,
comes
but
from
truth,
you.
your voice.
Make your stupid ass mouth fill up with blood as soon as I get
You're
to your
the
pussy.
key to my
That's real talk.
contentment.
Yeah, I mean,
All I do.
So let's
it's
do this.
interesting. It's
Bitch ass
interesting.
little
You're
nigga.
the center of
Why do you have
my
something with Darrell?
joy.
Don't worry about why I have something with Darrell.
Yeah, but
That
Let it
little,
Darrell's
go,
that
cool.
bitch
Simon.
ass nigga know why I got a problem with him. And I'm going to deal with his ass. I don't know how long it takes.
No. You don't want to do that. No.
Simon.
You stay within
No,
yourself,
Simon.
man.
Simon,
Take
let
care of
it
your
go.
Yeah, I
children.
know.
Neither
I
one of
know.
them is Simon. Neither one of them is named
I
Tyree,
know.
and neither one of them is a Scorpion Task Force.
As soon
Yo,
as
I
I
You know what I'm
deal
learned.
with
saying?
your ass.
I learned
That's
from Chef,
that.
man. At the first
You
moment,
know.
I sort of stepped on this stuff. Chef taught me. Do you understand? Like he taught me, and it was like, stop.
Choose this nigga.
Like because you could be going in on anybody, and it don't mean nothing. Like
Yeah, this ain't got nothing to do with you, son.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
But
no.
I
If you
appreciate
thought I
you at
was
the same
talking it,
time.
yeah. No,
But
I
I
wasn't
definitely
talking
want
to
to
you.
retain
This little
the
pussy ass
organic.
nigga know why.
I want to retain the organic nature of this conversation.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
And
Chef.
Raw
no.
B.
Listen.
Raw B was bringing it, man.
You
Raw
don't got
B.
look.
Let that dump in here,
I
man.
ain't. I was going for the record truth. I was actually going through some of the archives, and I've been dropping some old stuff, right? And it reminded. I watched earlier the one with you and Ashan, so that was funny, bro. So it was
Who's
just
that?
entertaining.
Who's that?
Rashawn Dave.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, that was one of our earlier Nighthawk shows. But nonetheless, listen.
He's like modern day Oompa Loompa.
So listen, that's my boy, man. That's my homie right
Nah,
there.
he's Sean
Yeah.
brought me in because I wasn't even like trying to do YouTube, and we had conversations, and he was like, "Look, brother, just pull up, and it doesn't really matter if like no one's gonna view you or anything." So he was the first. He was the first one to sort of turn around to me and go, "Look, just pull up." And we went on a competition thing. So it's like me, Sean. I'm gonna give you some news today, right? So it's like me, Sean, Jay Takayashi, whatever his face is,
Jay
and
Takashi.
it was knowledge and relationships. But I was on knowledge and relationships on Bang anyway.
Wrap
But
it up.
I had no intention of actually putting up a YouTube channel. So yeah, so when you see our numbers and stuff, you can look at it, and it was Wally as well. So it was
Wrap it
like,
up, B.
we're,
Wrap it up, B. Come on, yo.
I'm done, bro.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna have to clip all of that shit out when I do the editing. Right? Let me stop. Yo, listen, straight up. Tonight's conversation was meant to be a serious conversation. It's not about clicks and likes. I had mentioned something yesterday on Robbie's show. Had a conversation, and I gave her some information that kind of backed it up. I literally was like, "You want to do it on your show?" I pop on. She said, "Let's do it on your channel." We did it over here. This conversation isn't over. As time progresses, there's going to be more evidence. There's going to be more things more facts, more logic that at least can give us some capability about coming to grips with this and making us understand, as opposed to us just thinking that this is the end of days. The woe is me. There has to be some subset or modicum of logic that has to be attached to everything that's going on. And I pray to God that we find it. I pray to God we find it. Hold on 1 second. Let me check something out here. Somebody sent me an email. I don't see it. Okay, hold on one moment, y'all.
Let me say something, please, because I've had like a little bit of enough.
Okay.
Like both of y'all, the both of you. How damn dare you? How damn dare the both of you? We are sitting here discussing the deletion of a young man in the street. A brother that could have been either one of you, right? And this is what y'all want to perpetuate, right? While we talking about 5 officers that have dispatched a man's life, yeah? Are y'all okay? Is it never a fucking moment to just hold it together? How disrespectful and dishonorable. I don't care, because you are over there and you are antagonizing it as well. Both of y'all are dead ass wrong. Y'all are wrong and you're out of pocket. We over here doing a stream about what has happened to this young man, how this is affecting the community, why they don't look at the community seriously. And y'all over here doing this? Come on now. Both of y'all know better than this. Let me be quiet, because y'all need to cut it out. Have your beef on your own time. Have your beef on your own time. Do better. God damn. But it'll be about how horrible black women are, right? When y'all as black men are acting a goddamn fool. Let me put myself on mute.
So,
yo,
peace to E Blizzy. Hold on 1 second, Simon. Hold on 1 second, Simon. Peace to E Blizzy. Yeah, we covered that. That's what the show is about, E Black. You might have to rewind to the beginning. That's what the actual show is about, literally. And we showed a couple of articles related to that connection. So you're going to have to scrub red line back. So listen, peace to Big Rig Slaps, my guy. All right. Listen, y'all. There will be more information coming, and we will be vigilant in discussing it, and discussing it with a high degree of intellectual resonance. You know, we're going to take it down to the mud a little bit, but we have to make sure that we handle this respectably and respectfully, in respect of the brother. Oh, hold on 1 second. Hold on. I see you, Talilo. Thank you for that heads up. Let me grab my phone. Simon, I know you got something to say. You got that look on your face. Yo, doesn't Simon look like a lighter version of that dude that's with Pearly? The co-host dude.
Stop.
Yeah, you look like that dude.
He sounds just like him.
Right.
He sounds just like him, bro.
Hey, bro. Hey, bro.
I'm gonna visit you, Truth. You're playing with me. You're playing with me.
Hold on.
I'm
How
gonna
you
visit
gonna
you.
do that to be Chef the one that put out? I can't laugh.
I'll
All right,
visit
my
you,
fault.
bro. Don't
My
do
fault.
that.
See what you did, Chef. So now the Chef can say that, but I can't laugh.
I like you. You're cool. Whatever.
Yo, peace, love, and light. Damn, I didn't have my phone over here with me. So I want to say peace, love, and light to everybody that came through, everybody that participated, and we got more coming for you. I'm going to be digging in the crates. Remember, my page was a long form page, so I'm going to use the metaphor. We still got 7, 8, 9, 10-hour streams that haven't been edited, so I have a whole bunch of weight that hasn't been bagged up. Right? So we're getting the stuff out to you, and we're going to get you some more current content. But I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. I appreciate Raw B for stepping in, for the ubiquitous Andrea Lynch, who's recuperating. Say a prayer for my homegirl. I want to thank Truth, aka Top G. You know what I'm saying? You throw a little bread to the side for anger management. You know what I'm saying? You know.
No, I rap to you later what that situation is about, bro. It's actually not even funny. It's actually not even funny.
Trust me. Listen, you know,
this ain't just something
life.
that's light. You know what I'm saying? This is actually what I'm saying. It's stuff. It's a lot bigger problems that's going on about respect.
So we might end
that's
up having to
stuff
do
is
a
bigger.
show.
I'm gonna
We might
hire
have to
Truth
figure
as
out
my
another show.
bodyguard, man.
It
Like
might
he's
have to
some
be a
next.
smoke show.
He's
But
some
listen,
next thing.
it
Oh
might
no,
have to be a
ain't no.
smoke show.
Yeah.
You
Listen,
never
I
know.
ain't trying to go back and forth. That's why I've been haven't been saying a lot of stuff. When stuff get heated, this is why I've been dropping down, because I really don't do this back and forth stuff. I'm really I really deal with shit. So that's what I'm saying. This going back and forth stuff. That's why I usually drop down before people come up on the panels, because I don't feel like arguing and stuff.
So let's do this, True. Let's talk about a brother that you're gonna have a kind word for, and his name is Tyre Nichols. You have any kind parting words in relation to our dearly departed brother?
Yes. As far as I said earlier, that was a man that had a child, and a child is without their father. And I'm sad that he probably has so much more to offer this world than to have his life senselessly taken for something stupid and meaningless. Um, I hope I hope that we all learn from these type of things. I hope we do. I don't see it. I hope that the good thing that I did see was his mom and father when they did. It was like they was on the show, and I saw them together. So, which means he came from a family that was, from the outside looking in, of good stock. They was holding hands. They was there together and unified for their son and everything, which leads me to believe that he was doing the same thing with his child. So, uh, you know, I believe the Lord is taking care of the brother, and I know justice will be taken care of. And I hope we all continue to do our best part of being here for each other and everything like that for certain situations. So yes, God rest that brother's soul.
All right, man, and I appreciate you dropping through, my brother. Truth, hold it down. All right, I'm gonna drop you down, Simon. All right, this is gonna be a 40-second flight. All right, so you got your flaps out and your landing gear, so come with it, bro. Any kind words for our dearly departed brother Tyre Nichols?
Well, peace to their family. Condolences to anyone that has not actually been able to sort of actually, appreciate the situation after the matter, because I know that happens. I've dealt with death over and over again, so it really antagonizes me when I see this sort of stuff. And I hope we can sort of get to a point where we don't have to see this stuff over and over again. It's really heartbreaking. And from my perspective, I'm kind of like a cold person, so it's like to even see that, it's just like, so salute Chef for even bringing it up. Peace to their family. And I don't know, I get real.
Niner, you're low on fuel.
Yeah.
All right, we need you to taxi the runway.
Yeah, I'll stop. I get out of here, man. Peace to the panel, chefs. Salute. I hate to see this shit. I really do. Like, it really touches me when it comes to black people and death and like the shit that goes on the street. I don't like it. So, and that's not just my perspective. So yeah. Salute you, chef, for bringing it up, because I can't bring it up on my panel, right?
We ain't finished, man. So hold on to that. We ain't finished. We got more to talk about because it's not over. All right. So I want to thank you for dropping through. My UK brethren, hold it down. And you're always welcome to the spot. Peace, love, and light, bro. Peace.
Bye, Simon.
All right. So I want to say a special thank you to you, lady. But I'm going to give you the full screen for you to cook. Guest chef in the kitchen.
Sous chef.
I was the sous chef. I let you be executive chef today, yo. I said, yo, grab that steering wheel. You in charge. Go ahead.
Honey, listen. Seriously, on a serious note, this has been a pretty important discussion. It is unfortunate that certain events devolved while we were on this broadcast. But the same way events devolved while we were speaking about what has happened to Tyre Nichols is the same way that things devolve in the real world. It is a time for the world at large to stop being so reactive. Things happen in life that are unfortunate. Yes, indeed. Things happen that will cause you to be angry and have an emotional response. We are all, as individuals, regardless of race, creed, color, or gender, required, commanded to maintain sovereignty over ourselves. For those of you that are spiritual, God says, love your neighbor like you love yourself, and forgive your trespassers 70 times 70. So when you see situations in which people deal in this level of malfeasance with complete disregard and wander and abandon for life, it should give you pause to say, are the things that I'm angry about really even worth it? Imagine, if you will, that you were Tyre Nichols, that you were in your car trying to make it home, probably listening to some Nickelback or something silly because, he was a skater. So, just chilling, minding your business. Police officers pull you over. They don't ask you for your ID. They don't ask you for your registration. They don't ask you for your insurance. Instead, they pull you out of your car. They surround you from head to toe, so much so that you barely even have an inch of room to position your body in the way that they want you to. And as they're yelling at you to lay on your belly, you have objects, you don't know what it is because you can't see, that feel like guns pressing into you. Imagine, if you will, that you had 5 to 6 set of hands pulling you in all different directions while screaming commands at you. Lay on the ground, get down, lay on your stomach, get down. And they're twisting you, and they're pulling you, and they're beating you, and they're cursing at you, and they're treating you insanely horrific. Imagine, if you will, for one moment you break free and you're terrified because you're being jumped. This is not a normal police stop. You don't really know what's going on. You're completely unaware. So you do what your body is naturally programmed to do, and you run. Because we do have a parasympathetic system that gives us the fight or flight mode to protect us in situations of immense danger and harm. You run, and as you're running, someone deploys a taser on you, and then they jump on you again. Imagine, if you will, someone pulls out a baton, and as one person is pulling your arm one way and another officer is pulling your arm another way. Someone comes up to you and says, I am going to baton the fuck out of you. And they proceed to beat you. And while that officer is beating you and two other officers are holding your arms apart, another officer comes up and just punches you in the face. Imagine, if you will, that they put you on the ground and then someone kicks you so hard that they break their own foot. Imagine they then put handcuffs on you and drag you a good 3 feet to rest your body against the car. You're beaten and you're bloody and you can't breathe and you've been pepper sprayed and you've been tased and you are dying slowly. You slump over on the floor and someone throws down a jacket and just lays your head on it. And they leave you there, laying, beaten, bloody, pepper sprayed, unable to breathe for 28 minutes and 34 seconds. And once the ringing in your ear stops, and once your airways start to clear, you smell the sulfuric smoke of matches as they are smoking cigarettes. You hear the men that have just jumped you high-fiving and celebrating your demise. And you didn't even do anything. Only to be dragged to the hospital, have tubes shoved down your throat because your trachea is collapsed. Your eyes are swollen shut. Your face is so disfigured that your parents almost can't recognize you. Imagine sitting in a hospital bed for 3 days in agony until your heart and your brain just says, fuck it, and quits. Imagine then, if you will, people trivialize your death. People make it about any salacious talking point instead of holding the people that jumped you, that beat you, that deleted you accountable. And then imagine sitting in heaven looking down and seeing two brothers going back and forth, threatening to delete each other. On today, I want you to take a moment, take a tick, self-reflect, and be humble and grateful that you are still here breathing. You are still here living, while a young man is no longer with us, while his children get to live a single mother lifestyle because their father is part of the dearly departed, while a mother and a father get to mourn their child that never made it home, while a mother gets to watch footage of her son being beaten to death as he screams, "Mama! Mama!" And then ask yourself, is all the chaos and the drama you bring really even worth it? Fly free because it's a privilege. But always remember, what you feel someone else deserves and your actions, your every single action, whether it's fair or not, is the sum total of your whole community. You don't got to take my word for it. Just look at the cacophony of people that have already fallen before you. Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland, Philando Castile, Eric Gardner, Tamar Rice, Rodney King, Sawanda Brawley, Martin Luther King, and Malcolm X. Your whole communities. Black Wall Street. And the list goes on and on and on and on. And as you go about your selfish interactions every day, thinking it's about how much money you make, how fly you are, what you smell like and the clothes that you're wearing. Remember, there is a river of blood that went before you so that you could have the right to be as self-involved, narcissistic, and self-absorbed as you are, to be so entitled and so elitist that you forget, as sometimes the river of blood has to stop because there are so many children that are left to walk in your footsteps. And I'm done.
Wow. So I want to thank you, Robbie, for helping me do this. Wouldn't have been the same without you. I think this topic was right up your alley, and I'm glad I brought the exclusive to you and we were able to make this happen. All right. So you already know I understand the depths of emotion with this particular topic. This is something real. This is something real. So while you're here, before we let all these folks go, I want to share something. It often happens that real tragedies of life occur in such an inartistic manner that they hurt us by their crude violence, their absolute incoherence, their absurd want of meaning, their entire lack of style. They affect us just as the vulgarity affects us. They give us an impression of sheer brute force, and we revolt against that. Sometimes, however, a tragedy that possesses artistic elements of beauty crosses our lives. If these elements of beauty are real, the whole thing simply appeals to our sense of dramatic effect. Suddenly, we find that we're no longer the actors, but the spectators of the play. Or rather, we are both. We watch ourselves, and the mere wonder of the spectacle enthralls us. What does that mean? It speaks to the surreal nature of life. It speaks to the simultaneous stimuli, and perpetual numbing of ourselves, to the extent where sometimes we're looking at ourselves from a higher point, just observing ourselves. The crazy yin and yang of life is understanding the opportunity to see the beauty within the eye of the storm. And like I mentioned before, I'm not comfortable with the spin any other group of people are trying to bring to us in relation to the fact that 5 brothers did that to us. But I think the inherent beauty in all of it, that all weird, enthralling, artistic moment within the horror, is the fact that we finally have an opportunity to take true accountability for ourselves, because the perpetrators of that horrific act are one of ours. So the beauty is the opportunity. So I want to thank each and every one of y'all for joining. Normally we do vibing, but I kind of want to end this on a note, some good music, something to think about the brother. So I want to say rest in peace to Tyre Nichols. Rest in peace to any of our lost soldiers, in the battle, and rest in peace to each and every one of the people within your respective love peripheries. Thank you, Robbie. It's your boy, Chef. And thank you for joining. And we're going to send you out with Jukebox.
Tell mother not to mourn. Tell mother not to mourn. Oh, Mary, don't beauty. Tell mother not to mourn. don't you